There's a quiet kind of strength in solitude, a strength the world rarely understands. People often mistake the absence of friends for loneliness, as if human worth could be measured by how many voices surround us. But those who walk alone know a deeper truth. Silence is not emptiness. It is a space where the soul begins to see clearly. Those who have no friends are often not without love. They are without noise. They've seen too many hollow smiles, too many false loyalties disguised as connection. They've realized that most conversations are not exchanges of truth, but transactions of ego. To the world, their silence may seem cold, but in reality, it is self-preservation, the refusal to drown in the shallow waters of insincere company. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." But what happens when there are none? The wise retreat inward. They begin the long conversation with themselves, the one that most people avoid. They no longer seek validation in others' eyes because they have begun to master the one battle that truly matters, the war within. Those who have no friends often hold an uncommon depth of perception. They see through pretense quickly, and that vision comes with a cost. They notice the subtle manipulations in human behavior, the greed beneath the mask of generosity, the weakness hidden behind loud confidence. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The friendless ones have learned this, that to see clearly, one must first unlearn the illusions that most people live by. And so, they detach, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. For the world is loud, too loud for those who think deeply, feel deeply, and live deliberately. They do not crave attention, they crave alignment. They would rather walk alone in truth than sit among many in falsehood. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who carried both power and isolation, once reminded himself, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." This is the core of the psychology of solitude, the understanding that peace is not found in the presence of others, but in the mastery of oneself. People with no friends are often those who have chosen their company carefully and found it lacking. They are protectors of their time, guardians of their inner state. They don't waste their energy explaining themselves to those who are not listening. They don't beg to be understood. They don't perform to be accepted. They know that the crowd's approval is fleeting, but inner harmony endures. In solitude, they cultivate what others fear to face, silence. And within that silence, they hear the voice of reason. They see their flaws without judgment, their pain without panic, their strength without pride. They become their own anchor in a drifting world. So, if you are one of them, if you've walked through long stretches of silence, wondering why connection feels hollow, understand this. Solitude is not your punishment. It is your teacher. It strips away illusion, burns away weakness, and reveals the unshakable foundation of who you are. The world may call you alone, but the Stoics would call you free. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." So perhaps the truth is this: those who have no friends may not be missing out on life at all. They may simply be living it on a higher frequency, one where peace replaces approval and wisdom replaces noise. The hidden strength of those who walk alone. There is a quiet power in the lives of those who have no friends, a strength the world rarely sees because it is invisible, like the roots of a tree that run deep beneath the soil. They move through life without relying on applause, without seeking validation, and without fear of judgment. In a society addicted to social affirmation, their independence is both misunderstood and envied. These individuals have learned the art of emotional self-sufficiency. They do not cling to people for comfort because they have discovered that comfort, when given externally, is fleeting. Instead, they cultivate inner fortitude, a steady reservoir of calm that allows them to navigate chaos without being swept away. Seneca taught that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Similarly, the friendless have cultivated a mind content with its own company, a mind free from the endless cravings of social approval. They understand that most relationships are built on convenience rather than principle. Conversations often conceal agendas, laughter can mask envy, and proximity does not always mean loyalty. By stepping away from the noise, they avoid the toxic entanglements that so easily ensnare the unthinking. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this same principle when he wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." Distance becomes a shield, protecting their energy and allowing clarity of thought. Those who walk alone also develop a profound sense of self-awareness. With no one else's expectations to satisfy, they observe their own thoughts, weaknesses, and impulses without fear. This introspection cultivates wisdom, the kind that is forged in silence and solitude, rather than in the clamor of social approval. Epictetus reminds us that first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The friendless live this truth daily, shaping their character in private, unseen by others. Paradoxically, their solitude does not signify emptiness, but depth. They form fewer bonds, yes, but the connections they do allow are chosen with intention, not convenience. Each interaction is weighed, each alliance measured, and each commitment deliberate. This selectivity is not arrogance. It is the stoic practice of protecting the soul from unnecessary disturbance. Finally, those without friends possess a silent magnetism. People may not understand their peace, their confidence, or their quiet command over their own life. But this very self-mastery draws others naturally, not through performative charm, but through the subtle power of a mind unshaken by external influence. They radiate calm, resilience, and a certainty of purpose that most people cannot manufacture. In truth, the friendless are not lonely. They are free. Free to think, free to act, free to grow, and free to become the version of themselves that society too often discourages. The world may mistake them for outsiders, but they have already found what many spend a lifetime chasing: mastery over their own mind, their own emotions, and ultimately, their own destiny. The power of invisible influence. Those who have no friends often wield a subtle power that the world cannot measure, without the need to constantly perform, impress, or appease. They move through life with a quiet authority that demands respect without seeking it. In a society obsessed with visibility, likes, and constant affirmation, their silence becomes their loudest statement. They have learned that influence does not come from chatter or numbers, but from presence, consistency, and integrity. Their energy is unshakable because it is grounded in self-mastery. Epictetus teaches, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The friendless have achieved this mastery in ways many cannot, for they are not distracted by the emotional turbulence of others' expectations. They act with intention rather than reaction, speak with purpose rather than habit, and choose their battles with care. Their actions carry weight because they are not diluted by the need to be liked. Being without friends also sharpens their perception. Surrounded by fewer voices, they learn to hear the subtle truths of human nature. They notice motives, hypocrisies, and patterns that others, clouded by social noise, miss entirely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." The friendless practice this daily, distinguishing the trivial from the meaningful, the honest from the deceptive, and the fleeting from the eternal. Moreover, they cultivate resilience. With no one to cushion every fall, every disappointment, every betrayal, they learn to stand on their own. Pain becomes a teacher rather than a prison. Rejection is not a crisis, but a mirror reflecting areas for growth. Their solitude is not emptiness. It is a forge tempering strength, patience, and fortitude that superficial social bonds rarely provide. And yet, paradoxically, this detachment draws others. People feel the aura of self-possession, the magnetism of someone who has nothing to prove. Their presence commands attention not through noise, but through depth. Others are drawn not by charm, but by the quiet, formidable authority of a mind that belongs fully to itself. In truth, those without friends are architects of their own fate. They understand that life is not about accumulation of company, but cultivation of self. They live by the Stoic principle that the only true good is virtue, and the only true harm is moral corruption. In their solitude, they achieve something rare, a life guided by principle, strengthened by self-control, and illuminated by wisdom that others, distracted by social spectacle, rarely glimpse. The strength of emotional independence. People who have no friends often possess an inner strength few can comprehend. Free from the constant pull of approval, gossip, and social validation, they cultivate emotional independence, a state Marcus Aurelius hints at when he writes, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." They learn to measure their worth not by the applause of others, but by the integrity of their own character. This independence allows them to respond to life with clarity rather than impulse. While others may be tossed by envy, competition, or fear of judgment, the friendless act from a place of reasoned calm. Epictetus teaches that external events cannot harm the mind unless we allow them, and the emotionally independent embody this principle daily. They do not fear rejection because they have no need for constant affirmation. They do not envy because they recognize the futility of comparing their inner lives to the curated displays of others. Moreover, solitude sharpens their self-awareness. Without the distraction of constant social interaction, they confront their own thoughts, desires, and weaknesses directly. They examine their motives with stoic precision, asking not, "What do others think of me?" but, "Am I living according to virtue? Am I mastering my impulses?" In this quiet reflection, they develop a rare and formidable emotional intelligence, a wisdom that allows them to navigate life's challenges with a balance of courage and composure. Their independence also breeds resilience. They are not easily shaken by betrayal, gossip, or the ephemeral nature of social favor. Every setback becomes a lesson in self-mastery, every disappointment an opportunity to strengthen their fortitude. Seneca reminds us that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. The friendless, having no craving for external validation, are rich in self-possession. Paradoxically, this detachment attracts respect and admiration. Others sense the unshakable calm, the quiet authority of someone unbound by external opinion. This is not charm born of flattery, but the magnetic force of someone who embodies Stoic principles, self-control, virtue, and clarity of purpose. In essence, the friendless are living proof of the Stoic ideal, that true strength lies not in numbers nor in popularity, but in mastery of the self. Their solitude is not loneliness. It is the crucible in which resilience, wisdom, and inner freedom are forged. By freeing themselves from the constant sway of social opinion, they achieve something most never will, a life directed by reason, fortified by virtue, and impervious to the chaos of the external world. If this video resonated with you, remember that true strength comes from mastering yourself, not chasing the approval of others. Every step you take towards self-control and inner clarity brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. If you want more insights into the hidden truths of human psychology, the power of self-discipline, and the wisdom that most people overlook, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson that can change the way you see the world. We're here to grow stronger, wiser, and unshakable together. Until the next video, remember, your mind is your greatest ally, and your solitude is your strongest weapon. Subscribe now and take the next step toward mastery.